All right, guys, so this video is about how the New Testament, also the Old Testament as well, are actually allegories for mastering the body and raising the Christ within you. So I'll be reading from God Man, the Word Made Flesh. Um, and this is on page 89, the Christ Within process. The Essenes fully realized and taught the great truth that Christ was a substance, an oil or ointment contained especially in the spinal cord, consequently in all parts of the body, as every nerve in the body is directly or indirectly connected with the wonderful river that flows out of Eden, which is the upper brain, to water the garden. The early Christians knew that the scriptures, whether written in ancient Hebrew or the Greek, were allegories, parables or fables based on the human body, fearfully and wonderfully made. These adepts knew that the secretion, which is the gray matter, which is creative, which issues or secretes from the cerebrum, was the source and cause of the physical expression called man, and they knew that the river of Jordan was symbolized in the spinal cord, and that the Dead Sea was used to symbolize the sacred plexus at the base of the spinal column, where the Jordan, which is the spinal cord, ends, typifying the entrance of Jordan into the Dead Sea. The thick, oily, and salty substance comprising the sacral plexus, which is the quada equina, tail of the horse, may be likened unto crude petroleum, petra, mineral, or salt, and oleum, Latin for oil, and the thinner substance, oil or ointment, is the spinal cord, may be compared with coal oil, and when this oil is carried up and crosses the Ida and Pingala, the two fluid nerves that end in a cross in medulla oblongata, where it contacts the cerebellum, Golgotha, the place of the skull. This fluid is refined as coal oil is refined to produce gasoline at a higher rate of motion that causes the ascension of the airship. When the oil is crucified, crucify means to increase in power 1,000-fold, not to kill it. It remains 2 days and a half, the moon's period in a sign, and the tomb, which is the cerebellum, and on the third day ascends to the pineal gland that connects the cerebellum with the optic thalamus, the central eye in the throne of God, that is the chamber overtopped by the hollow or haloed caused by the curve of the cerebrum, the most high of the body, which is the temple of the living God, the living vital substance, which is a precipitation of the breath of life, breathed into man. Therefore the Holy Ghost or breath. The pineal gland is the pinnacle of the temple, the modus operandi by which the oil of the spinal cord reaches the pineal gland is described in what follows. There is no name under heaven whereby ye may be saved except Jesus Christ and then crucified, which is the correct rendering of the Greek text. Every 29½ days, when the moon is in the sign of the zodiac that the sun was in at the birth of the native, there is a seed or psychophysical germ born in the or out of the solar plexus, the manger, and this seed is taken up by the nerves or branches of the pneumogastric nerve and becomes the fruit of the tree of life, or the tree of good and evil, good if saved and cast upon the waters, circulated to reach the pineal gland, and evil if eaten or consumed in sexual expression, the physical plane, or by alcoholic drinks, or gluttony that causes ferment, acid, and even alcohol in the intestinal tract. Thus no drunkard can inherit the kingdom of heaven, for acids and alcohol cut or chemically split the oil that unites with the mineral salts in the body, and thus produces the monthly seed. This seed, having the odor of fish, was called Jesus, from iktos, Greek or fish, and Nun, Hebrew for fish. Thus Joshua the son of Nun, I am the bread of life. I am the bread that came down from heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. The fruit of the tree of life, therefore, is the fish bread, of which thou shalt not eat on the plain or animal or Adam, earth, dust of the earth, plain. But to him that overcometh will I give to eat of the fruit of the tree of life, because he saved it and returned it to him in the cerebellum, the home of the spiritual man, the ego. The cerebellum is heart-shaped and called the heart in Greek. Thus, as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. The bodily organ that men in their ignorance call heart is termed divider or pump in Greek and Hebrew. Our blood divider is not the button that we touch when we think, but it is the upper lobe of cerebellum that vibrates through. The lower lobe is the animal lobe that governs the animal world, that section of the body below the solar plexus, called Lower Egypt, natural body, kingdom of earth, Apollyon, the devil, Satan. Fire and brimstone, the lake of fire, comes from the fact that sulfur is the prime factor in generating the rate of motion called heat, and overeating develops a surplus of sulfur. It is very evident that the Old Testament referred more especially to the cosmic processes of ascension, whereas the New Testament to those processes within man, since as above so below there is nothing in the universe that is not within man.